The initial specification for what would become the Idris was established in 2545 by the United Planets of Earth's Weapons Development Bureau. The frigate was part of a range of forward-thinking plans that attempted to imagine the form that the Earth's military would need to take after the successful conclusion of the then-raging First Tevaran War. These plans imagined a peacetime UPE with significantly expanded borders, both with territory annexed from the Tevaran and the increased colonization of more distant planets. The specifics of what would be the Idris called for the development of an 85-metre Corvette-class spacecraft that could dock a pair of patrol fighters. These corvettes would be built more affordably and in greater numbers than current ships of the line, and would be rapidly deployed to help patrol the burgeoning Empire. The prime contractor role for the new ship, covering both design and manufacturing, was assigned to Aegis Dynamics via no-bid contract, with a number of component and support contracts going to smaller, now-defunct concerns. To outside observers, the result of the ensuing 3 years of development was a model of typical bureaucratic confusion. The namesake Idris that would begin its space trials in 2549 was a completely different beast to the initial specification, a massive frigate-class spacecraft massing several times the original proposal, mounting an enormous railgun, and carrying a fully functional flight deck capable of supporting multiple classes of fighters and bombers. In fact, the Idris's move from the proposed corvette to the frigate that was actually constructed was painless and seemingly natural for those involved, with the design specifications being revised multiple times as the reality of the post-war empire became increasingly clear. The newly christened Empire's cadre of fresh-faced, Mesa-aligned planners quickly identified the project as important to establishing their own power base, and they worked carefully with Aegis and other contractors, particularly Aim Krug, responsible for the railgun installed on the first flight of ships, to expand the scope of design to define a model for the modern warship. Expansion from the original corvette to the frigate was a rare decision that was in the best interests of all persons involved. Highlighting the suggested importance of the project, the first ship was named after the recent victory at Idris IV, already being mythologized as a foundational element of the new empire. The first frigate was commissioned in 2551 in a ceremony at Aegis's newly constructed Idris System factory complex. The launch was attended by Imperator Ivar Messer, who presented a famous speech seen today as a prelude to him taking increased control of the UEE in the name of public safety. The initial factory constructed by Aegis to produce the ships included 6 berths that would work around the clock. The first 6 Idrises laid down were all commissioned by May 2552 and began service tryouts, then extended patrol assignments later that year. From the start, the high-tech ships were desired assignments for Navy crewmen who correctly identified that the then lavish ships would play a major role in coming events. A major delay in production occurred the next year following the revelation that there were significant issues with the layout of the original 6 ships that made them particularly prone to fires. Poor placement of firefighting equipment and personnel, combined with limited availability of shipboard retardants, led to several significant fires, culminating in the deaths of 17 sailors when one such fire spread to the forward magazine aboard the UEEN Ashton. Production of additional Idrises was delayed for 18 months while a full review and redesign was conducted, culminating in the launch of the first Flight 2 spacecraft in 2555. With early issues resolved, Idris production continued at pace and the powerful frigates quickly became a common sight around the Empire. The average Idris-class frigate, commissioned between 2560 and 2800, had a 30-year operational lifespan. In modern days, this average has been nearly doubled through both updated technologies and a greatly specialised overhaul process that essentially rebuilds any given ship once over the course of a decade. Aegis has continued to expand the number of available berths at their Idris IV factory over the centuries as demand increases from both the military and civilian users. The original UEEN Idris was decommissioned in August 2587 with 43 tours and 9 combat stars. Today, it is the sole remaining Flight 1 Idris, mothballed in dry dock at MacArthur, where it is often discussed as a potential museum piece highlighting the military's role during the Mesa era. For the first 200 years of production, Idrises were reliably scrapped upon decommissioning, a requirement specified by law for all capital assets by the early UEE government. While Aegis's shipbreakers were forbidden from salvaging and reusing systems, they were able to recycle roughly 35% of the scrap tonnage in the construction of newly produced frigates. This life cycle was drastically altered in 2801 with the passage of the first Surplus Act that gave approved civilian organisations the rights to bid on properly demilitarised but still functional spacecraft up to and including destroyer-class vessels. In the case of the era's Idrises, this meant the permanent disabling of the keel-mounted gun and the removal of all classified subsystems, such as military-spec targeting software. The law was primarily passed to allow citizens to purchase former freighters, and the initial reception to the availability of former military frigates was generally cold. Within 2 decades, however, the need for larger-scale fighting ships had become greater, and Aegis was forced to significantly expand its investment in mining corporations in order to make up for lost scrap resources. Simultaneously, additional citizen armament laws loosened the restrictions on what equipment could be sold off and to whom it could be sold to, gradually going from authorised militia forces to corporate and finally private entities. By 2875, the demand for civilianised Idrises combined with expanding life cycles for existing military ships had outstripped the Navy's ability to decommission existing ships. The result of this schism was the launch of the first ever Idris Peacekeeper, or Idris P, a purpose-built ship nearly identical in form to the military model, retroactively called the Idris Military, or Idris M, lacking only the main gun mount, which could be readily rebuilt on the secondary market. For the first time, civilian organisations could purchase not only the increasingly limited number of UEEN surplus ships, but also commission the construction of their own spacecraft directly from Aegis. The popularity of the Idris platform, already cushioned by generations of developed support systems, exploded and had quadrupled by the turn of the century. The following examples are a sample of different Idris-class ships used by civilian entities. As Idrises have been available to civilian organisations for well over a century, this list is representative but not exhaustive. BX-214, BX-215 and BX-218 were Idris-class frigates purchased via fundraising by aid organisations in 2812 in response to a disaster in the Coral system. Unexpected solar activity caused a nearly total crop loss in the system for an 18-month period, prompting a major aid effort to ship food and other aid supplies in. The 3 Idrises, their flight bays converted for freight for the first time, served as armoured transports as part of a large ragtag fleet of similarly repurposed vessels. Anax was an early model Idris supposedly purchased by a civilian historical salvage group in 2815. Anax was equipped with ultra-high-tech sensor systems and a force of powerful drone spacecraft. The ship was credited with the discovery of several major wrecks and the surprise recovery of a stranded Starliner thought to have been destroyed in an accident. In response to a 2915 formal information request filed by a group of journalists reviewing historical starships, it was revealed that the Imperial government funded a significant portion of Anax's expeditions for reasons that remain classified. Helene's Canard was a purpose-built Idris P owned by weapons magnate J.R. Forsyth. In his later years, Forsyth became increasingly paranoid and ultimately interested in avoiding human contact altogether. Shortly after his 75th birthday, he sold off his terrestrial real estate and invested a significant portion of his weapons investments in the conversion of the Idris into an armoured luxury spacecraft. The details of how the ship was crewed and its current whereabouts remain unknown. Home Force 1 was an Idris-class ship belonging to the so-called Free Republic of Lamia, a fringe political group that claimed ownership of a large asteroid in the Goss system. The group considered Home Force 1, a military surplus Idris which was never actually re-equipped with weaponry, to be their flagship and utilised it in a number of media stunts to promote their cause. The Lamian organisation fell into bankruptcy within a year of the ship's purchase, and it was ultimately taken into custody and later scuttled by the advocacy.
Have you used your brain thoughts to think about getting a Tobii eye tracker for your eyes for Star Citizen? It gives you natively supported high-precision head and eye tracking in-game for unparalleled immersion. And they're on sale, 20% off at the moment until the 3rd of December. Use the links below to get that fabulous offer, or go to tobii.gg/BoredGamer. Welcome to the Intergalactic Nord Expo, where there's only one vehicle here, the vehicle for better internet security, accessibility, and privacy. I wish I could watch Netflix in Japan or Pyro or whatever. Boom! I can, and I'm so protected. It's not a concept. You can fly with nordvpn.com/BoredGamer today. And with NordVPN, you don't need any variants, but it is pay to win because you need to buy it or get a subscription and then you win. Use the links below to get massive discount. November is all about the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. We've partnered with the Star Citizen organisation Lunar Wolves for a massive giveaway. Commenting on any of my videos during the month gets you a chance to win one of 4 ships, a Zeus MR, an Ares Ion, a Drake Corsair, and even a Cutlass Black. All courtesy of those beautiful Lunar Wolves. But wait, there's more. Sign up to the Lunar Wolves recruitment page, link down below, for a chance to win an RSI Polaris with lifetime insurance. They're recruiting, you might be looking for an org. I'll chuck some further information and terms and conditions and stuff in the video description as well. Don't forget to click on the join button under my videos. That goes a long way to help support the channel. Thank you so much to you that have already done that. Zin and I play a load of games after work and stuff, and we want to chuck those up for people that have gone the extra mile to support us either on Patreon or via that join button. Just remember to like and subscribe as well. Comment, ask us some stuff. Thank you so much for everyone that supported the channel, whether it be for a day or for the last several years, a decade. Oh my God, we've been doing this for so long. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great November and Intergalactic Aerospace Expo.